and welcome, Hype Coach listeners, VIPs. Boy, you guys in for a real treat today because I'm always in for a real treat. I don't hear anyone speaking about one time that I didn't make their lives easier or more fulfilled or hit the nail on the head in some aspect. I don't know about you, but maybe I'm biased or maybe I'm listening to, maybe I'm tooting my own horn. But I know that I bring the fire. And that's why I decided a very long time ago to call myself the Hype Coach. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Hype Coach podcast, where we delve into crucial aspects of your mental health, your subconscious programming, and your self-development. Of course, I'm your host, Safa Al Chami, and today we're going to explore the topic that is incredibly relevant in today's fast-paced, ever-changing world: raising resilient children. We're going to discuss actual strategies that are going to help you teaching your children resilience and coping skills that will serve them in today's lifestyle. So let's get right into it. This topic holds such a significant part in today's world because the world that we live in is very much different to the world that we grew up in. The world that we are in right now is always changing. There's always new things coming about. There's always new changes, always new aspects. Gone are the days where social media wasn't a problem. Gone are the days where phones aren't always being, shunned upon. But the most important thing that we can teach a child is resilience. You can't always protect your children, but you can prepare them. And that's what it means to grow and teach and really serve your child and create more resilient kids. Raising kids is not for the faint of heart, let me tell you right now. That's why more children are coming into my office with this topic specifically. I get a lot of parents saying, well, I want to help my child grow and help them become more resilient and help them become more confident when they're very much shying away, when they don't know how to speak their mind. And when I ask the children, how do you speak your mind? They say to me, well, my parents don't really allow me to speak my mind because they told me that I'm talking back. So here's something that, again, we need to pay attention to. If you're going to raise resilient children, you're going to have to be prepared for the backlash or somewhat the things that come along with it. If you want your child to be a pushover, then they're going to not really negotiate or talk back or voice their opinion, voice their issues, and voice their concerns very openly and honestly. So when we're raising resilient children, as a parent, as a first point of contact, you're going to have to be okay with them coming to you and sort of challenging your perspective. If you're a parent that has a big and open relationship with your children, fortunately, you're their first point of contact in the communication world. So they're going to test the waters with you. And as they test the waters with you, no, it doesn't mean that they're being disrespectful at times. It just means that they want to test the waters and voice their opinions. And I'm going to say this lightly, bullies. But you're not really being a bully, but they might view you as a bully. But because there is that sense of superiority and power dynamic within the parent and child relationship, they're going to be able to go, I wonder if I can say this to my parents. And if I can say this to my parents and they're able to give me the perspective shift that I need or the perspective that I want, I wonder if I can then voice it to my teacher, my bully, my coordinator, and people in the playground and so forth. So let's define what it means to be resilient. Resilience is the ability to bounce back from adversity, to cope with the challenges, and to overcome the obstacles. It's a vital and pivotal skill for children to learn because it helps them handle the ups and downs of life with confidence and grace. Here's a perspective shift to the parents. Every single adversity that has come your way, if you're listening to this podcast or you're watching the recording on YouTube, or if you're listening to the playback on the reels, every single adversity that has come your way, every single challenge that has come your way, you have successfully overcome. And when you successfully overcome it, it means you have successfully created a new level of resilience within yourself. So I come across many people, many parents that are helicopter parents, as we describe them, quote unquote, helicopter parents. And the helicopter parents are just so always hovering over their child, and they're creating a very unhealthy attachment style. Because we as parents, our job is to make sure that when our children are growing up, they've grown up, we're okay with setting them out into the real world. You can't always isolate your child from the world, but you can prepare them for the world. So resilience is a vital skill for children to learn at any age and at every time frame. So as we teach our child to be resilient, how do we do that? How do we teach our child resilience if we lack it then within ourselves? So let's explore some keys and strategies in real life scenarios and practical skills. So the first one is you got to model it. So it's not monkey see, monkey do. It's monkey see, you do, then they do. Imagine them like a sponge. They're going to absorb their teacher relationships. They're going to absorb their power dynamics within their household, their sibling dynamics within their household, and different aspects within their lives with different people and different relationships. When they observe the adults in their lives, for instance, this is a scenario. Imagine if you had a really tough day at work. And instead of coming home and venting about your stressful day, you try sharing how you dealt with it positively. So something that I encourage parents to do on the dinner table is, what is a challenge that you went through the day and how did you deal with it? What did you successfully fail at and then you made better? Listen to what I said. How did you deal with it? What did you successfully fail at? Because we're changing what failure means to the child. Because some people identify failure as the end, whereas failure is just the beginning. So what did you successfully fail at and how did you make it better? How did you deal with it positively? This is then shifting the dynamic from a problem perspective to the solution perspective. So here's another scenario. This is the way that this scenario would plan out if we're teaching the child or sharing to the child or children how you dealt with it positively. You come home and say, I had a really, really challenging day at work today. I took a few breaths and I went for a short walk during lunch to clear my mind, and then I tackled the problem step by step. So what you're creating then is a process. So children get overwhelmed and people get overwhelmed and there's no process there. So you're creating a step-by-step tool of helping them tackle the problem. So this is how we're going to do it. We're going to add family reflection time, where each member shares a challenge that they faced that day and how they dealt with it. This encourages open communication and learning from other people's experiences. And the way they learn from other people's experiences is how they identify how their siblings or their family members went and transitioned. The second way is we want to encourage the child to have a growth mindset. So the growth mindset is the belief in the abilities of intelligence that can be developed through dedication and hard work. Here's a scenario. If your child struggles with maths and says, I'll never be good at this, you're going to respond with, you're working hard and you're learning. Let's find new ways to practice and let's see how we can improve this together. How can I support you on that? And then you're going to praise their effort and strategies that they use rather than just the outcome. So phrases like, I'm proud of the hard work that you worked on that with, and I'm seeing that the progress that you've made. So we're creating a sense of praise. You can never praise your child too much. And I'm going to say that you can never praise your child so much. If a child, especially teens, is going through a challenge and the challenge is hard for them, and they will. Children at that age group go through so many different challenges that they're not a child anymore. You're not yet an adult, so they're testing the waters. So if you praise their efforts, that gives them the tools to go, oh, you know what, I'm actually doing a great job and trying is better than not trying. And that will then change their perspective on how the progress that they've made. So here's another activity that you can do along with this. So create a growth mindset chart where the child can track their efforts and improvements in various activities. So we're going to create small milestones and reinforce the idea that progress is a result of effort. The third one is teach a child problem-solving skills. So you want to equip your children with the tools that they need to solve the problem on their own. So here's a scenario. Let's say your child's toy breaks and they come to you quite upset. Instead of fixing it for them, guide them through the problem-solving process. What do you think we can do to fix this? Let's think about a couple ideas together. And even if it means to bring out like a journal and then jot it down, this creates a sense of problem solving rather than outcome. Okay? So here's the activity that you can enforce with this is introduce a problem solving jar where the child writes down the problems that they encounter. Once a week, sit down and pick a problem from the jar to solve together. This practice helps them learn and to think critically and independently. The fourth one is normalizing failure and mistakes. Yeah, we're going to do this. So to help your child understand that failure and mistakes are a natural part of learning and growing, a lot of the time I have the teen clients that come to me saying, I'm so scared that I'm going to fail in a test. I'm so scared of that I'm not going to be enough. And I tell them, well, give me one new skill that you've learned recently. And they tell me, like, let's say, for example, they failed on an algebra test and they had to go resit the test. I'm like, okay, so what mistakes can you learn? What did you get right? What did you get wrong? So I analyze what we got right and we analyze what we got wrong on the test. And then we change and go, okay, well, we know that this is not the answer. How can we find the proper answer? And the outline and the guide is there. So here's a scenario. Let's say your child loses a soccer game and feels quite disheartened. Here's what you can do to fix it. Here's the tool. Discuss what they enjoyed about the game and what they can learn for next time. You can say, I saw that you really tried really hard today and you supported your teammates. What did you learn from today's game? So here's the activity to go across with the tool. So create a failure wall where each family member can post a failure or a mistake that they learned from and how they learned from it and what they learned from it. This visual representation helps normalize setbacks and emphasizes the learning process. 5 is foster strong relationships. Supportive relationships are the key to building resilience. Here's a scenario. Let's say your child feels left out at school and doesn't know how to handle it. The tool is you need to encourage them to talk about their feelings. Let's practice what you would say in front of a friend or teacher. This is actually a tool that I do with couples when I'm teaching them how to change their communication style and not fear the setback or the conflict that may come or may arise from voicing their opinions or feelings. So the activity is set up regular family meetings where everyone shares their experiences and supports each other. This creates a safe space for children to express their emotions and seek advice. The 6th one is promote self-care and emotional regulation. Teach your child the importance of taking care of their physical and emotional well-being. Here's a scenario. Your child is stressed out about an upcoming test. The tool is to introduce them to deep breathing exercises and guided imagery, aka hypnosis, to help manage their anxiety properly. Let's practice together by saying, hey, let's take a couple deep breaths together to calm down. And here's the activity. Establish a self-care routine where each family member chooses a relaxing activity to do together or individually, such as yoga, drawing, reading. Make this a regular part of your schedule to highlight the importance of taking self-care and your mental health by storm. The 7th one is encourage independence and responsibility. Allow your children to take on age-appropriate responsibilities and chores to make their own decisions. So this is the chores list that I speak about frequently. So the chores list will allow them to say, hey, this is what you're responsible for, and you need to make sure that this is done. How you do it is very important because practice makes perfect, and how you do one thing is how you do another thing. Here's a scenario. Your child wants to plan a small weekend activity but feels unsure. The tool is to guide them through the planning process. What do you need to plan this activity? Let's make a list together and let's see what steps we can take to make this feel more easier for you. Encourage them to take the lead by offering support when needed. Here's the activity. Create a responsibility chart where your child can choose tasks that they're responsible for. This helps them feel empowered and accountable for their actions. The 8th one is celebrate effort and progress. Recognize and celebrate effort and progress that your children make, no matter how small they are. Here's a scenario. Your child finally masters tying their shoes after several attempts. The tool is to celebrate their perseverance, such as, you worked really hard to learn this. I'm so proud of you. And now I know you can do it. And so do you. Let's have a special celebration to recognize your efforts. Here's the activity. Implement the progress jar where the family members can drop notes of their achievements and at the end of the week, read them together and celebrate a fun activity or small reward. Raising resilient kids is all about providing them with the tools and support that they need to navigate life's challenges. It's all about teaching them to view setbacks and opportunities for growth, to solve problems independently, and to take care of their emotional or physical well-being. Remember, resilience isn't something that can be taught overnight. It's a continuous process that involves patience and practice and positive reinforcement. It's not going to happen overnight, unfortunately. And by implementing these strategies, you're helping your children build a strong foundation for a resilient and fulfilling life. I hope you really enjoyed this take on building and raising resilient kids. I thank you for joining me on the Hype Coach podcast. If you found this beneficial, please share it with your friends and family and others who might benefit. And don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes. Until next time, stay hyped, stay resilient, and keep growing. And I'll see you guys on the next episode of the Hype Coach Podcast. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Hype Coach Podcast. If you did enjoy this podcast episode, please share it on your socials. You can find me on IG, Safa Al Chami, TikTok, The Al Chami Life, and you can book a personal therapy package at my website, www.thehypecoach.com.au. I look forward to working with you. Let's grow.